Peace, y'all. So I thought that I would look into the divine feminine balance. So obviously that factors in the divine masculine as well. But there are some very, how would I describe these energies? There have been a lot of miraculous, enchanted, trippy, wondrous, you name it, type energies to really give us what we've required as we've had to pass through the remnants of the travails of the past. Consciousness is I feel like saying consciousness is a journey, but the spirit is saying consciousness is a journey through sound from the human vantage point. And that's something I think to leave to contemplation, or times for contemplation. All right, I want to lift this phone without making a bunch of noise in the recording. I'm trying to be better with that. I hope that wasn't too loud, because it was a very minimal sound on my end, but it could have sounded really loud since the mic is in the actual phone. All right, so we are going to have a look. Right now I'm using the Quantum Root Oracle and the Sublime Vibes deck, also the Isis Oracle. I love working with that set, also known as Isis. So we are going to be looking into that. And then, I don't know, soon I'll probably incorporate some decks that will be actually available to y'all for purchase. The Quantum Root Oracle is available for purchase, the current edition of it. And I don't know how long that's going to be current, because I do at some point want to, I have some ideas to expand it, we'll put it that way. So there will probably be an expanded release of that when it is finished. But the Sublime Vibes Oracle, I'm not sure when I'm actually going to release that. And I haven't really had any word from Spirit as to the right timing on that, But all things in divine timing, I will let you know when it's time for that. But the 3 decks releasing, I love them. And I will be incorporating them into the readings on the channel soon, very soon. But for now, let's see what the divine feminine energies are, just in a generalized sense. And I may return to doing pick of cards. Just the vibe hasn't been there for that. In addition to tech-wise, I'm doing it as a recording. And I used to do pick of cards, even in a recording style in the past. So I could absolutely do them. But the vibe has been really to just, do the one-off readings for now. And then I may also be doing some interviews, so I will let y'all know, because they're just fascinating metaphysicists. Oh, well, if that's the right way to put it, metaphysicians. Astrologicians, star seeds, who I really rock with, who I feel are connected, are heart connected truly and authentically. And, I'd really love to, share them through this platform. So we'll see what the divine timing is on that, if it's something that's meant to manifest. Because I do think that we're meant to come together and share insights, share positive energy, other perspectives, that can be helpful to us on our sacred, paths, on our sacred journeys. All right, y'all. And those energies are definitely it was coming up in some recent readings, actually, because it's one of the sisterhood card in the Isis Oracle. And I've really been feeling those energies, like connecting with folks that are, you know what I'm saying, on the path, really, you know what I'm saying, have been on the path, really, not because it's a trend or not because it's a way to make YouTube money, with no disrespect to those who do that, you know what I'm saying, but I'm talking about the reasons for putting up a YouTube channel, you know what I'm saying, like you have some people who have been, this is their path and their insights of, you know, they're really, really and truly invested, whether they make money or not. And I'd like to see, you know, more prosperity with, you know, flowing for folks that are like that to the degree that they need it, because, you know, we're dealing with collective energy, and there are going to be ups and downs and times for there to be people who are on an up wave, and time when those same folks, you know, perhaps need to become a little more grounded, you know, and maybe there isn't, you know, such an expansive abundance experience, you know, because energy circulates and it moves around. But, you know, I've found that, you know, there are some, I don't want to say hidden gems, but there are some really, really gifted, really talented, really skilled people. And as things got trendy, as, you know, readings became like trendy, you know, I don't want to say they got lost in like this sea of, you know, kind of promotion or what have you. And we know that the algorithms, you know, have been toyed with. I've seen it happen to other channels. I feel like I know it has happened to mine. But it doesn't matter, you know what I'm saying? You keep doing what you do because you do it for spiritual reasons at the end of the day. And it has value for whoever comes across it. All right. I didn't expect that to come out, but I guess it needed to be said. I haven't really had like the biggest filter with, you know what I'm saying? I used to kind of like triple check, you know, like how I would put things so I wasn't, you know what I'm saying, too offensive, or, you know, whatever the case may be, because I'm a truth teller, and that's been throughout my life something that's made people uncomfortable, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. All right, so I'm going to use the diamond type elemental spread. That's just been the thing lately. And I learned this really from, it was a medicine wheel book back in the day. I don't know if the spread itself was in the book, but the directions and the elements influenced me utilizing this kind of a spread, and I've been doing it for years. All right, where we at? You are a miracle. Essential nature. This is in the mind placement or the air placement. It's a 5D card. Sacred blooming. It's the 16th card in the deck. And essential nature is the subtext. A lot of things are coming back to, I was going to say basics, but for the divine feminine, a lot of things are coming back to what makes sense. You know, and it's not just what makes sense, like just on a purely mental logic type of level, I would say. The energy feels like, you know, it's connected to the gut. It's when you're really in a holistic place within yourself, at least to a reasonable degree. And, you know, your inner self is speaking to you. Your inner self is telling you, you know what I'm saying, that you're either hearing truth, you know what I'm saying, or something else is going on. And it definitely, well, you know, we are, even though this is considered a timeless reading, we are on the verge of a full moon in Capricorn at the time of the recording of this timeless reading. Or evergreen. I like to call them evergreen readings, actually. It is kind of a Saturnian type of energy. But it's, I don't know why I want to say like extra spatial. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all encompassing from the expanded human vantage point, as Spirit is helping me to put together. It's all encompassing in that sense, where you have a sense of groundedness, but you are also aware that you're assisted, that you have ancestors, spirit guides, you have divine guidance, you know, you have chakras that, you know what I'm saying, kind of light up and respond, you know, to different situations and people's, places, and things. And at any given moment, you can trust yourself to make the right decision. So the fact that decisions are coming up, you know, even in that sentence, I feel like it has to do with reprioritizing on some level what we've placed, Divine Femmies, what we've placed in a position of importance. It could be career, but then it's like, why did you focus on that for career? And are you sure that that is where you want to be investing your energy? You know what I'm saying? Like, is your identity so deeply tied into it that you would feel like you didn't know what to do with yourself if you didn't stay on that course? Spirit's saying, because if that's the case, it's time to meditate. And I feel like there are a lot of options, and a lot of the divine feminines out there at the current, you know, at the time of tuning into this reading, the energy formations, there's almost kind of a hesitancy of exploring options, almost an intentional tunnel vision to overcome. So an intentional tunnel vision to overcome, because the course of the past, the course that divine feminines were set on before, a lot of people had their hands in, and there's like a selfish energy connected to. A lot of people had their hands in that, because it served them in some way, steering you in whatever direction. Now it feels like there's a lot of celebration energy waiting for you to come up out of the illusions that have been assaulting you with what could go wrong. Remember how this went before? Oh, you know so-and-so don't check for you. I don't even know why you're trying. That never works. These doubts, these different things that I think, you know, well, Spirit's saying about 25% of the divine feminines just really wanted to take a microscope to and over-analyze. But we're here now. We're in a new position. A lot of work has been done, a lot of shamanic work, a lot of, ancestors, absolutely. Ancient ancestors, absolutely. But also light beings who are incarnate, angelics who are incarnate, who spent a lot of time and a lot of energy, and not just for them, or hardly even for themselves. You know what I'm saying? And this was to bring more options, extra spatially is what I'm being given, to the entire human race, to the species. But as with anything, it's a frequency and vibration thing to access, those options and where those things can bring you. And it does call for you to analyze your fears enough that you can, I was going to say cast them to the side, but you can always just set them down and let them be on their way. You don't have to put any hostility energy into it and inadvertently create a action-reaction cycle. where you have to deal with it again at some point. Being able to let go and realize the lessons of the past have been extremely helpful in shaping who you are now. And that at any given time, if you need to just rearrange where you're at, you can call on your spiritual family. You can ask an angel for help. You can, if speaking to the Most High is something that really warms your heart and makes you feel like, okay, I'm on the right path, then do that. If consulting with the ancestors is the way you feel you want to do things, then do that. If working out an arrangement with Anubis where you're like, look, I really want to accomplish this goal. Can you help me create a situation where I can't deviate? Where I have to stay on that course until it's done, or at least can check in if I need to, request changes. But can you help me develop some kind of energetic harness for myself so that I can train myself to focus my attention in the direction that I really want to be headed in? There are a lot of things. If there's deep, deep, deep healing, that's where that sacred mother energy comes in, and that water energy where you learn I am enough, I am worthy. You've probably had divine feminines, a number of sacred mothers pop in to make sure you didn't go too deeply into any ideas that would have you entertaining believing in despair. Because you're absolutely enough and you absolutely have so many options. You know what I'm saying? Whether you want to look at yourself as a creator or a creatrix or whatever, like, you have the ability to create your life. You have the ability to really be in touch with your true will so that you can enjoy your life, so you can enjoy the people you connect with, so you can start to, something I'm starting to do, after much help from the spirit world. You can allow yourself to receive as much as you give or as much as you've given. You can forgive yourself for the misperceptions of the past, things that have been projected onto you, and then maybe you reacted to them, but who projected it first? And it's not to say don't take accountability for when you reacted. Sure, take accountability, take ownership. I would say take ownership. Do what you need to do to redeem yourself, but realize you don't have to be stuck or trapped in roles or perceptions of an old self at any time. I don't care if it was 2 months ago. You always have the option to expand your consciousness and become more of who you. I said become more. Props to the mer world, but become more of who you are on a heart level. Become realer and realer with yourself and respond to others from that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to move on. Just keeping an eye on the time. Crystal Summer. There's some more water reference because to me, miracle is like miracle. You could also spell it M-E-R. It's in there. Vibe-wise, what I see. Crystal Summer, the 20th card in the deck. There's deep contemplation going on for the Divine Feminine. And I think that's also because there's deep contemplation going on for the Divine Masculine. Really deep soul searching, but it's a certain kind of soul searching. It's once you realize the water temperature is good, the weather is just right, and what is it that I'm really feeling called to on a heart level. Where things just are, they're kind of silent, they're kind of, there's flow, there's water, but maybe the water's a little more still, or just the ocean's not stirring as much. And you have that time to feel peaceful, to feel comfortable, to, being in water like that, have that positive womb experience. The temperature is beautiful. Everything's beautiful. Colors around you are beautiful. But what's calling you to, move in a certain direction? What's calling your heart? Because spirit is who gave me, the word heart here, right? Like, what's calling your heart? What's calling to your heart? what's calling you out of this, maybe not out of the deep healing place, but bringing enough recognition to you on an internal level that you can overcome what's caused you to either barricade yourself on some level. It could just be an aspect of yourself too. What's caused you to kind of hide or shy away from receiving, you know, like the love and the celebration that is really due to you, to, you know, the true you. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of these things are memories. Some of these things might be in the form, I feel like saying family member. You know, I've heard tell and also have gone through it and then heard tell again, you know, different people who've had to struggle with this, you know, family member thing. You know, these people that we're, you know, placed in kind of like blood relationships with. And some of them are good. Some of them are really good. You know, they may also be like soul family. And your stories may be similar. You know, they know hardship like you know hardship. You can relate on certain levels, and they have a certain endearment or affection towards you and you to them. And then you might have the other situations that are baiting and minimizing and criticizing. And those situations, now I could speak for myself here. I know this is a reading. I say peacefully release them. That's what I would say to do. Because whatever, without focusing too much on those people, whatever within them, safest way I could say it, is in a state of unrest. That is their battle. And by getting baited into it to where it throws off your day or it eats up hours out of your day, where this is what your mind is just invested in, it's their battle. It's their energy. I mean, I know I've dealt with situations. It doesn't just have to be with family members, but I've dealt with situations where I was like, this is, you know, hashtag empath light, where I was like, this is not my energy, yo. Like, and why? Usually I could clean energy off pretty quickly, but people who are particularly tenacious, angry, really, really, really spiteful, and don't care who they hurt, that's been a little more challenging to shake if I engage with it. When I recognize what that is and I don't engage with it and I click into my, you know, I like to look at it this way. Lilith and Aquarius steez, it ain't even an issue. They slide right off. And they can't figure out, they're scratching their heads, they can't figure out, like, why they can't access me or just why I'm not impressed. But it's an energetic read that happens really quickly. And I've been able to avoid certain types of situations with certain people just by doing that. But then I've also fallen into some of the I don't know, tricks and traps at times, you know, and then had to find my way out of those tricks and traps of people who kind of like realize what kind of heart I have and were like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Well, let me play this angle, and then play the woe is me angle. And then my inner empath would click in. And my inner empath's getting a lot smarter, because we've all had those moments of woe is me where it's absolutely justified if you ask me. But if it goes on for too long, it becomes a drain to other people, or it becomes heavy. And the best thing to do, you know, for those folks who find themselves in that position, because pain is pain. I'm not going to sit here and judge somebody who's in pain and doesn't know what to do with it, especially with everything that's been done to try to place people in that psychological state. But I would say that's where you take it to the water, you know, and where you learn to trust the universe. I've heard a lot of theories and different things, and I've experienced different things, you know, on these cosmic shamanic, you know, I don't know, journeys or what have you, and, you know, just different shamanic experiences that I've had. But like, I've had trust like since a child, that like it's still there. Like it's like one of them things where I'm like, no, trust. We are watched over. We are protected if we allow it. you know, the trick is when you don't allow it. The trick is when you shut out the help that is being sent to you. The trick is when you shut out the prosperity that is being sent to you. And I have been doing that. I had a lot of prosperity opportunities, and I was like, I don't know, I don't want to charge for that. I mean, I suppose I could. And then I would get hung up in that for the longest, and it's like the universe was trying to let me know, girl, you're on the right track. Get back in, you know, not me get back into it, but, you know, start doing readings for folks again. They can utilize your focus. But I had, you know, I had certain ideas, and I was really going hard body on the poor righteous teacher route, right? But I'm realizing now, like with the importance of balance, it is important to make sure that there is a balance of give and receive going on in any given situation, whether it's a relationship, whether it's whatever kind of relationship, actually, because even a financial situation could be in a relationship, right? But whatever connection situation is going on, you can always kind of tell, is this on the right wave, if there's a reasonably balanced exchange going on. And if not, then do what you can to return to a state of balance. You know what I'm saying? And if that means, you know, step back from giving too much, or step back from criticizing yourself too much because you've been criticized so much, so that you can stop acting out of the kind of pseudo aspect of self that developed, you know what I'm saying? AKA, you know, the you know, some of the shadow self stuff that developed as a result of being projected upon, just having so much negativity projected upon, you know, upon you in any given situation. And the more you can just get into that water and wash all those projections off. Water lays the riddles plain, perhaps of the angelic realm. Like, get into your yin energy. And you're not going to have to strain the same way to figure out what it is you want, because you know a lot of things. But when we're in too much of a hyper defensive state, the mind will be on overdrive, trying to figure out how this happened, how that happened, how do I get ahead, how do I do this, how do I arrange this? Well, a lot of times, just working on getting in receptivity, you're going to have the answers you're seeking. And you won't have to have your mind be on overdrive in the state of peace, y'all. It's beautiful, even sublime. You know what I'm saying? When you're connected, you know, with those that are really for you. And you start to see that life can be good. Really good. Really good. You know, and I've been told, and I believe that's originally what it was intended for. You know what I mean? In the spirit placement or the fire placement, the West, 9D, Sacred Blooming, 17th card. You are greater than your challenges. Victory is the subtext. Snapdragon is the flower ally. Whatever lies ahead of you, Divine Feminines, I feel like if it is a fear or a haunt or a reoccurring situation that you're just like, I can't deal with that if it happens again, I feel like it's fading. Like, I feel like it's barely in your world anymore. So if you're allowing it to hold up your path, you know, maybe... Just one moment. If you're allowing it to hold up your path, sorry, I had to pause because there was some noise going on. Maybe take a moment to just ask yourself, why would something go to all the trouble to try to stop me from moving ahead? Even just asking that question is like, wait a second. Why would that be? And that helps with the self-worth issue. Well, then I must be worth something. Or something views me as a threat. So what kind of light am I bringing to the path ahead? That something that will go to the trouble to criticize, delude, you know, put together these different attempts to confound, try to go out of its way to convince you that, you're just meant to be in the position you were meant to be in. You know what I mean? Like, why are you pushing? Why are you bugging? You know what I'm saying? Give it up. Let it go. You know, and I'm not talking about the let it go where you let the negativity go, but where people are like trying to tell you to let your dreams go, that makes your heart light up. If your heart's lighting up for your dreams, that is a sign that it is for you. You know? So just the simple act of asking that question, you know what I'm saying, can really help you to help to put you back into your mind state of like, oh, wait a second. And then if you're ready, for those of you who feel ready, because some of us are still doing that deep healing, ladies. But if you're ready, you can do some path work on that, you know. Or your ancestors might even just roll it along to you in the dream time. You know what I'm saying? It might just be a thing where you start having some, you know, shamanic type dreams. Shamanic, you know, stuff from what I'm getting with this energy. It doesn't have to be like overly involved. But it might bring like, it might take old situations and put it in a new wrapping, and then you get to see how in a dream you react to it or respond to it. And then when when you write down your dream, because hopefully y'all writing down your dreams, you can say to yourself, wait a second, I went through this when I was such and such age. And then you can go back to the dream and be like, oh, it's trying to tell me about that pattern. And maybe you can find out more about yourself, because this is the Know Thyself journey. Maybe you can find out more about yourself in that process. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a time for forgiveness, you know, that came up in the solstice reading. This is a time for forgiveness, you know what I'm saying, of, you know, or at least release, you know, and at least being more gentle with feminine consciousness, with the mother consciousness. Because, you know, we do the best we know how to do at any given time, right? And that's not to say that as a cop-out. But it is to say, you know, we've had some mothers who went through wounding we can't really conceive of, because we went through hard body stuff. But so did they. And in their time, there were less resources for self-healing. There were less insights. Certain things were frowned upon. You know, if you were doing chakra work, you were looked at as a hippie and kind of laughed at. You know what I'm saying? You know, some of the pioneers of what we work with now that's become trendy began with them, or their generations they came through. You know, or their generation they came through. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when we can just take a moment to find a way, even if there's still stuff to work through, with the mothers in our line, whether it's a direct mother or a grandmother or a great-grandmother or what have you, realizing they all have a story too. And they had a shadow self too. And they dealt with varying levels of abuse too. And some people snap quicker than other people snap. And the road back, you know, or the road of transmutation, you know what I'm saying, like, isn't always the easiest, you know. And some might not be all that reachable. You know, some, because of the societal setup at the time, it was like, you know, women were really hard body, men too, of course, really hard body, made to wear a certain type of persona. Everything's fine, everything's okay. And that, if you think about it, whatever's been kind of your anchor to feel like you can engage with the world and keep yourself reasonably together, even while things just are hard time. You're having like hard times, and it's just could even be anguish that you're experiencing, but you have whatever that thing is that keeps you afloat. That everything's okay. If that's what has kept them afloat, then obviously there's a certain degree of comfortability they have with that, and it would suggest a certain degree of attachment. So I'm not saying like going into this forgiveness and all is forgotten state if you're dealing with women in your line who kind of flip-flop from nicey nice to abusive or passive aggressively injurious or whatever. But what I am saying is when you can see it for what it is, and you can see that it's a really hurt person who did the best they can, but on the level of them that has a divine spark, the level of them that is heart level, no matter how barricaded they've put it together, they have love for whom they've taken part in the nurturing of or the creation of. Because it might not just be your direct mother. It could be like an aunt. It could be, you know what I'm saying? An aunt who always babysat you or practically raised you. It really just depends. And if we can take a moment, you know what I'm saying, to acknowledge, I feel like, is enough. That they've experienced pain that some of them just really weren't able to talk about, or they felt like they couldn't talk about it. And they just had to hold it and live with it. And we're in these situations now where we can talk about it, and a lot of people do, and talk about narcissism is on the rise, it's been on the rise, you know what I'm saying? Or if it's not on the rise, it's here. You know what I'm saying? People are talking about it, and it needs to be talked about because society is narcissistic. Society plays that game. So if we're going to be able to talk about people having that problem, then it's time to address how society sets up a golden child and black sheep dynamic. They've done it with the races. They've done it with celebrities and common folk. They do it at work with who gets the promotion and who gets the demotion or gets shuffled around or has to stay and work late while everyone else goes out to an office party. You name the situation. This is how society's been set up from what I can see. And if you disagree, feel free. You know what I'm saying? Disagree or agree, whatever. You want to kick it in the comments, feel free. It's definitely a free speech comment section, although I'm not all that interested in spam or just errantly hostile nonsense. Like, that'll just get ignored. Guaranteed. And if I'm particularly impacted, I have different things that I have to deal with, then I may not get to the comments right away. But you can absolutely speak with other folks in the comments. You know what I'm saying? If the comment thing is working, because sometimes it's been strange with YouTube. Even when I've been on other channels, I tried to leave a comment and it wouldn't go, or I tried to press like and it wouldn't go. It's just been very odd. I'll leave that there. But you are greater than your challenges. So this is where a lot of us have gotten stuck and have felt like if we push further, we're going to be met with abuse or we're going to be hurt in some kind of way. But victory is the subtext of this card, and it's a 9D card. This is when, if you want to talk about Kundalini energy, your Kundalini energy in an empowered way, not in a hostile, lost all sense of control way, or lost a sense of control is probably a better way to put it, but where you are focused. Your energy is focused on what you would like to utilize it for. And it's focused on empowerment instead of being impacted and oppressed and held down and beaten down, you know what I'm saying, to just kind of stay at a root chakra level in a certain position. We're in a position where we've been dealing with this shifting and changing of our foundations. And that impacts a lot of things. It impacts what we consider to be beyond our reach, which could have, for a long time, there are probably things that you've considered to be beyond your reach, but they're not. And when you really do the self-work to just take all those criticisms and those nasty projections from other people who were impacted in their own way by whatever was doing that to them, and so on and so forth down the line, because a lot of generational patterns have been broken and people were bugging out because they didn't know what to do with these weird energies. But some of these weird energies were trapped and didn't know how to act right because they were just hidden, trapped, and pushed down. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we can, kind of bring our crown chakra focus and be autonomous in our thought, be sovereign as a thinker, sovereign as a visionary of our own lives. If you're around people that are wigging out because of these energies, or if you're just around energies that are bugged out and you're like, oh, there go those generational energies acting up again that haven't gotten properly transmuted or assimilated. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we've been dealing with amidst, the tampering that I've mentioned many times from those who thought, who kind of knew what was going on in some kind of way, however they positioned it, and thought that they would try to, tap into it and create a technological situation where they could control it, or could control who makes money or who doesn't, or, things like that. But look, this is a spiritual thing. You know what I'm saying? We talk about spiritual power. And you don't have to worry about getting trapped up in false power if you are in touch with your spiritual power. And to be in touch with your spiritual power, it's really getting to that heart level. And yeah, this could mean there are things you want to redeem yourself for. And consult with spirit. Make sure it wasn't something you were really hard body hypnotized by constant projections and conditioning to think you were guilty of. Really do the soul searching to make sure of what you need to redeem yourself for, so you can get out there and do it. And if there's no way to make amends with a person you feel like you've hurt or offended, there are other ways to assist those that might have been impacted to redeem yourself. If you feel like you need to do that. You know what I'm saying? You have some mothers out there, they just couldn't, perhaps get it right with their daughters. And when they woke up, if their daughters, were like, I'm not checking for you, I don't want you in my life or whatever, there are some of those mothers that were like, well, they were going to find a way to do it right. And they went to college or brushed the dust off their teaching degree and were like, well, I can impact positively, I can impact people positively, I can balance this out, I can do right. And they started to feel better in their soul, right? So there's different ways for things to take place. And if you feel like you haven't done right by your moms, or you haven't done right by your aunt or your grandmama, or you never visit your grandmother, or whatever it is, where it's like you're letting people know that you love them and you check for them. Because I think if we learned anything, and well, I don't say if we learned anything, it's rather dramatic, but the value of our connection to who we're connected to has become very pronounced in the times that we've passed through. And so regardless of who lied and what societal mind games are being played, the spiritual authority of things, the spiritual authority of, of the world, or the worlds, the universe, because we're in a universe, this planet, we have vibrations and frequencies that come off this planet, right? So it can affect other planets, right? So it's been a time where we learned, material's cool and everything, but what's really important, and how we connect with each other. Love is important. Very. Personal integrity is important. Honor is important. Truth is important. So I'm going to move on to, so this is just some of that, as you're getting your spirit into a place of being able to be more active and feel your motivation again, and find your drive to push, well, maybe not push, but move forward the way you truly want to, in heart alignment. You know what I'm saying? Within that dynamic, you know what I'm saying, searching yourself and unburdening yourself and cleansing yourself, being honest with yourself is going to do a lot to help you to get your motivation together. And self-forgiveness for the things that you did out of ignorance that were like, that don't really and truly, once you do enough of the self-work and you're not just in a state of always feeling like you need to blame yourself or you messed up again. Once you can get past that, and then you're like, oh, okay, I did such and such, and I guess it's not like, it wasn't a big deal. I just, I forgot to RSVP, instead of beating yourself up over stuff like that, like, self-forgiveness. And as you do the self-work, really relieving yourself of the things that were like, look, I couldn't have possibly, I don't know how I would have done it any other way with the way I was conditioned. But I know better now, and so now I can make sure moving forward that I move better. And if there are people to apologize to, then I can do that. Because that's big. If you can apologize to people from the heart, that's a big thing. There are people, believe me, I've experienced people who just can't apologize and could do the most hurtful things and just cannot bring themselves to apologize. And it's such an unburdening process to be able to do that, you know? But I guess maybe it does take like deeper self-work so that you don't feel like you're going to fall apart by admitting you were perhaps wrong at some point, which I don't know that empaths have that problem. I think empaths have had the other problem of feeling like they're wrong, and not being able to admit, you know what I'm saying, that no, they saw it correct, or they saw it right, you know, because I feel like, yeah, I mean, the empaths I know, like, if they didn't see it right, like, well, some of them, most of them, I don't know, because I don't want to be so generalizing. But it's like, I think empaths, like, if they're wrong, will tend to beat themselves up, but they can absolutely see it. It's just like, are they deluding themselves into thinking they're wrong for something that they're actually not wrong for? So there's that work that has to be done. Oh, I'm gonna move on to the other card like Spirit was trying to direct me to do, instead of getting rambly. Purely Enchanted. Purely Enchanted is the card in the North position, or the Earth position. Whew. There are, just a moment. When you get, Divine Feminines, when you get done beating yourself up for everything that you couldn't have possibly had all the knowledge on and all the power to change, it's humbling. And it can be scary because it makes you feel vulnerable a little. Or maybe a lot. This Purely Enchanted card is when you can take all of that responsibility off of your back long enough to see when the universe is trying to bless you. Because maybe there was a cosmic court case going on trying to figure out, because there was so much trying to cover the truth, that in the midst of it, I'm getting acknowledgement from the ancestors. At that time, you know, you just might have seemed like you weren't being checked for, but you were kind of just walking around in the fog, in the dark, just being kicked around, criticized, misused, projected upon. All this nastiness was just coming at you, and you could barely see straight, and you were just trying to figure out how to get up again, how to right yourself, and just how to keep trying, how to pick a goal. Or maybe there was you were on some indigo steeds, and there was just a strong goal in your heart, and like, I'll get up again. You know, props to the queen, Aliyah. I'll try again. You know, where if that's been your story, like it's been my story, and the story of so many empaths, perhaps there was a whole cosmic court case going on trying to figure out, like, you know, like, wait, hold on, but who actually did that? Because there were so many people trying to narcissistically throw innocent people in the line of fire so they wouldn't have to face what they had done. You know what I'm saying? But the universe has figured it out, and Spirit World saying that's correct. Spirit saying that's correct. Spirit World has figured out in a way where it can be proven. And so it changes the dynamic of things. It means a new life. A new life for you, Divine Feminines. It means what you were supposed to receive that was being shuffled around and hidden from you is available to you now. So, you know, taking a moment to sit with that and to just enjoy the really good energies that come from this card. They're very pure, enchanting, innocent feeling energies where you could be as a child. And that's the goal, right? You want to touch, you know, I was going to say touch base. Was I going to say touch base or something like that? And it went just that quickly, like with the heavenly densities, where you're realizing who you are, you know, at your level of being a creation, you know, of the universe, that, you know, that there were intended paths for you. And had you not been disrupted, and had there not been so much malice and deceit projected your way, you would have been able to enjoy those things. And you wouldn't have been conditioned to block yourself from your blessings. So it's kind of like still a free will situation. You know? It's still for you to allow those things to come in. Nobody's expecting you to be perfect. But you know, as Spirit has said in the past, you know, like, you know, these spirit guides are waiting by the phone lines, cosmic phone lines, or whatever it was. I can't remember exactly how it says. Hilarious. But you can ask for guidance, you can ask for help, but get up. When you realize, like, it's a new life situation, the dynamic has changed. You're not a target. You're not a target for abuse and malignment and hostility. It's not what you're intended to be. And it doesn't matter what dishonest people think about that. Because they have their own paths and blessings that, while they're so busy focusing on someone else's blessings, they forgot their own? So it really just comes down to it being as tragic as it's been in a lot of, hey, handsome, as tragic as it's been in a lot of scenarios, it's also really silly. Because, like, what is for you, it's, like, perfect for you. You know, and I like to think that goes for everyone, but it's like that trick of thinking that someone else has better, and then those that really go into that evil eye consciousness and just really engage in trying to take from people and do it the wrong way. And I'm not saying we've all been perfect or that empaths have been perfect. We've all been teenagers and made our mistakes and whatnot. You know, I've stolen a candy bar from the store before, so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've had our moments where we flirted with things we weren't supposed to do. When I'm talking about people who really, really hardcore dishonest, like made it a way of life, really disconnected from whether it hurt someone or didn't hurt someone, and just continued to do wrong, you know, no matter how much imbalance it created. This purely enchanted card, ladies, is telling me glorious futures are awaiting you. When you let it in. When you allow yourself to be yourself. I hope this was helpful, y'all, and good comes to me is there at the center, so utilize that as an affirmation. I do have to close out, but I will be back, and there are spiritual tools coming this summer, shortly. Thank you for tuning in. Peace and blessings on your ascension journey, y'all.